Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah wa ba'd. Yesterday and the day before we've been talking about ghiba, about talking bad about other people when they're not there. So there's another sub-chapter that Imam al-Nawawi brings in. It's babun fi tahrimi sama'i al-ghiba wa amru man sami'a ghiba muharramatun bi raddiha wal inkari ala qa'iliha فإن عجز أو لم يقبل منه. Said the chapter on the prohibition of listening to ghiba and the command to whoever heard that prohibition to reject it and say something about it and to respond to it, the person who's saying it. And if you're unable to do that, and you don't accept what they're saying, you reject what they're saying. So it begins with the verse قال الله تعالى وإذا سمعوا اللغو أعرضوا عنه. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Qasas, verse 55, when these people hear like idle talk or useless talk, they turn away from that. And he quotes many other verses, but we'll get to the hadith. وعن أبي الدرداء رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال, the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, من رد عن عرض أخيه رد الله عن وجهه النار يوم القيامة. That whoever deflects or deters or whoever defends the honor of his brother, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will deflect and deter away the fire from that person on the day of judgment. رواه الترمذي وقال حديث حسن. Hadith is in Tirmidhi and is sufficiently authentic. So this hadith is a good evidence for the idea of what Imam al-Nawawi is saying, which is very important, which is listening to backbiting and people gossiping about others is like almost in the same category as doing it yourself. Very similar to smoking. Most of you have heard of secondhand smoking. So if somebody's smoking cigarettes or whatever other type of cigarettes that are out there, when you're smoking, it's bad for your lungs. It causes so many problems and health issues and all of those things. But it's not only that person who suffers. The person who's sitting there and inhaling the smoke that you're breathing, it's called secondhand smoke. They're also getting either the same effects or sometimes even worse effects than the person who is actually consuming it. So if somebody says, you know what, I don't smoke, but then they get lung cancer. You say, how did this happen? Yeah, but I was around a lot of people who were smoking all the time. That's how it happened. There's even something called third-hand smoking. Anyone heard of third-hand smoking? When you buy a car, if somebody's been smoking in that car, it stays inside the seat. And you can if you're sensitive to it, I'm very sensitive to it. If you're sensitive to it, you can tell. If you walk into a car, it's been smoked in 1 month ago, you can still smell the cigarette smoke inside the seats. The people, when they're car dealers, know this. When they're selling their cars, there's a checkbox. Even if you're checking the Kelley Blue Book value of a car, you're going to check, see, is this car that's been smoked in or it's not been smoked in? It's going to have a different value because it's hard to get that out. It requires special cleaning. Backbiting is the same thing. So many people, what they do is they say, you know what? Someone is talking bad about somebody else and they're just listening and say, you know what? We shouldn't have been talking bad about that person. I didn't say anything. Yeah, but you listened. You sat there and you listened. And by listening, oftentimes you're encouraging the person. Because if you're like, really? He did that? And she's like that? I didn't know that she's like that. That's horrible. And the person just keeps on going and going because people enjoy telling stories. But when you give them a little bit more fuel for the fire, it keeps them going. This person is interested in my story. I'm going to keep on going. I'm going to add a little spice to it. So that's where we need to be careful. And this is Imam Nawawi's advice is beautiful. He's saying that listening to gossiping is forbidden in Islam, the same way that gossiping and backbiting is also forbidden in Islam. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect our hearts, may Allah protect our tongues, and may Allah protect our ears from listening to that. Ameen. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Assalamu alaikum.